Today I am driving from Massachusetts to Pennsylvania, work meeting Monday, but it's really cool timing because I'm going to drive to Pennsylvania, spend time at my mom's, watch a football game. I'm just going to leave it at that. And so I thought I'd catch up on some videos that I wanted to do while driving, because I thought, what's the difference between me talking to you if I'm sitting in a chair or sitting in the car. I was doing some videos recently on some kind of career experiences and whatnot, and some stuff that really kind of spun off from a recent kind of interview process I went through. And it got me thinking about my last job, where I resigned to get into my current job. And it was kind of a unique story, and I wouldn't say wild, but certainly not the way I thought it was going to be treated when I did it. So I thought I would share as I was just reflecting on it, talking about this job interview and other video. So the last job I worked for, I really rose up through kind of like the ranks, and that's really what set me up for where I'm at today, and probably where I'm going tomorrow. And I'm just going to leave it with that comment at that. But I started out as an individual contributor, went to team lead, went to sales manager, and then they just kept giving me more and more responsibilities, more teams that would report to me. So along the line, along that time, I guess, the president of the company, who I really liked, I considered him a mentor, and I don't think he even realized it, because I kind of quietly looked up to him. And he left the company, and that's a whole different reason why he left, and it was very abrupt. It was unfortunate. Basically, the owners were changing the structure of the board and whatnot. They just kind of like moved things around in a way that didn't make sense to him. So he said, "I'm just going to leave." So he left. So they put a guy in place who had been working there on the engineering side. I liked him, thought he was a bright guy, but really questioned what he knew on the sales and marketing side of the business. And that came to fruition when he literally came by and said to me and to my boss, said, "I have little to no experience with the sales side of things, so I'm going to lean on you guys to make the decisions." And I was like, "Oh yes, great! Like, it's great. We can do that." And, all that. I was really pumped. And ultimately, he ended up becoming very meddlesome and was making decisions that didn't make sense for the business, but might have made sense from somebody who comes from the engineering side. But that's not really the point of this video. So during my last year there, during all this transition, like the last 6 months, even 4 months, my boss was kind of getting pushed aside, and he was super great guy, been there for like 20 plus years, but he really didn't have the skill set to kind of evolve the team, and he admittedly didn't want to travel, he didn't want to do it. So ultimately they kind of moved him into another department outside the sales area, and they said, "We're going to look for a vice president of sales and marketing." Now, at that point I had risen up to basically as far as I can get to as a non-executive. And I thought for sure that they would have talked to me just to see where my head was at. And now here's the thing. I thought they would have talked to me to either say, "Oh, is this something that you're interested in?" And if I would, of course, yes, I'm interested in it. And then them either could have said one or two things. "All right, well, let's put you through an interview process and see how it goes." Or they could say, "That's awesome that you're interested. We think very highly of you. However, we don't think you have the experience just yet. So let's do this. let's come up with a career path that when, we're going to bring someone in, but when the time comes, you're the heir apparent. Like that kind of thing. That's how I would have handled it. But instead, they said to me, we're going to hire a vice president of sales. We want you to be on the interview process and have final say because this person's going to be your boss. And we want you to, it's really important that you guys work well together. Okay? So I did do that. I went through the process with, and interviewed these people. And then worked with the president to, the newer president to come up with the right guy. So ironically, at the same time, a competitor reached out to me through a recruiter for their vice president position. you can't make that up. Like the timing was crazy. So despite all that, I thought, I'll look into it, but I don't think I'm going to go anywhere because I like this company too much. The culture is number one for me. So I went through the interview process, and I actually did a separate video in that interview process because it was like mind-blowingly crazy long, and that's a whole different topic. But I went through the interview process, and they made me an offer, and meanwhile, we had hired a VP at my current job, and he was like, I think, into the job 2 weeks. I accept my offer, and I decide to give my notice. So I go right to the president, even though the new VP is my new boss. We've only been working together for 2 weeks. I wanted to go to the president. So I went to the president. This is where it gets crazy. I went to the president. I said, hey, I would like to talk to you about something. I said, I'm just going to come out and say it. I said, I'm officially resigning. I've accepted a position as vice president for another company. The look on his face, his face turned red. He goes, I don't know whether to be effing pissed off at you or effing happy for you. He goes, I feel like you sucker punched me. And like, all I'm trying to do is, take the next step in my career, do what's best for my family. I'm not trying to screw anybody or anything like that. And he just says, you're not to share this with anyone out there. And so I had a manager who reported to me, and I said, well, let me at least tell her. I was like, because it's very professionally disrespectful if like I give my 2 weeks notice and then I just disappear. Like, so I told her I couldn't tell any of my staff or any of the people I was responsible for. I was ordered not to do it. And he was like really angry with me for leaving. And I was trying to say to him, like, hey, like, I was really interested in this VP position, because he did say to me, because I was trying to say that, and then he did say to me, like, well, if we would have known, you probably could have held up pretty well through an interview process. And I said, well, the fact that you didn't approach me or have the conversation with me, I had to kind of move on with the assumption that you're moving into that role and there's no future path for me, or you're moving somebody into that role. So, I loved the company, and I would have ran through walls for the company, and I had. And I was seen in a very positive light. Management used to joke when I was earlier there, you'd say, oh, one day you're going to be running this place. That was kind of like the running joke. Like, you're like boy wonder, and so he, I was a good, trooper, if you will. So I went to the new VP. He's like, oh, I heard. So I closed the door, talked to him. I just said, look, it has zero to do with you. And what was really cool is he said to me, hey, man, how do you think I became VP the first time in my career? Like, I had to take a chance. I had to leave the company. He's like, I am not taking this personal. Like, you that's great. That's you are now in the ranks, So it was really cool, even though I barely knew this guy. Like, he was just really supportive. So I said to him, I said, look, when this comes out, people are going to think I'm quitting because you're here and I didn't get the job. But that's not why. It's just dumb luck timing. And so I said, I'm going to make it clear that, like, I'm not leaving because they hired you. Because this was the first time there was a VP in that department, and let alone somebody from the outside. So there was people freaking out and coming to me all the time, like how to deal with him, and my job safe, blah, blah, blah. So this fell into, like, we were open the week over vacation. That company's open that week. So the president calls me up and goes, hey, I'm off the week of vacation, or Christmas. He goes, I want you to take off that week. We won't charge you vacation time. Just take it paid, sit home. And he's like, just tell your staff that you decided to take the week off. And so what I used to do is let my staff all take off, and I would stay in and, like, answer the phones and do things like that. Just it was my way of thanking them, right? Even though it was brutal to work that week because I wanted to be with my young kids. So I could tell they thought something was up. They're like, that's so sudden and random. And I'm like, yeah, and I was just making up some stuff. Like, oh yeah, I gotta burn some time. I just gotta take this off. So I get a text message or phone call from the president, like the last day of Christmas week. He goes, I'm off this week too. He's like, but I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna call a company meeting. And I'm going to tell everyone that you left. And I said to him, I said, okay. I said, whatever you want. And let me tell you, so many people were upset with me because I had worked there for so long. I was getting text messages from people. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to you. Why didn't you tell me that you had given your notice? Are you leaving because of the new VP? Like, what? Like, all of this stuff. I felt horrible. I remember sitting at my kitchen table receiving all these texts. And then the president texted me after and said, okay, it's been done. Everybody knows. And I'm like, yeah, well, no crap, because my phone's blowing up. What I found out from the employees that were in that meeting, people that worked for me and people that I was close with, that the president, because I was effectively going to a competitor, the president said, I do not want to catch you associating with him, interacting with him. If you see him in the supermarket, you can wave hello, but do not have a conversation with him. And from there, people proceeded to disconnect from me on LinkedIn. By the way, if you can figure out who I am, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm all about networking. Disconnected with me on LinkedIn, and it was, let's just say, it took me about a year or two to get over that because I was in such good standing. I was well liked. I loved the company, would have done anything for it, and had worked my butt off. And then I get tossed out. Like, I felt like I was fired, actually. And people, like, stopped hanging out with me. Like, I had some coworkers that we would hang out, watch football together, stopped. I got stonewalled. They were so afraid that they were going to lose their job. And here's what happened. There was an employee there who emailed me, like, to my Gmail, and just said something like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Hope you're settled into your new job. And then I wrote back and said, oh, yeah, hope things are going well for you guys. Hope business is going well. Doing pretty good. And then she wrote back and made a comment about, like, one of the products, like, I don't know, something going on. This was dumb on her part, but she did make a comment about one of the products, like, either it was doing really well or not doing really well, or a technical issue with it. I don't remember, but she mentioned one of the products. She got fired the same day. Apparently, the president was so paranoid, he put a flag on my email, my personal email and my work email for my new company, that IT would get notified, and the IT would have to immediately let him know. So the irony is we were all friends with the IT guy, and the person who got fired was also friends with the IT guy, but he had to do his job, and no one could fault him for that. And she got fired on the spot. And he said to the company, let that be a lesson. Let that be a lesson if you think about interacting with him, meaning me, Ed. So pretty dang crazy. So I'm watching this all from afar at this point, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Crazy. So I just wanted to share that. And the irony is that, between the end of my job there, when this all went on, the irony in all this, I had a chance to really bury the company when that all came out, but I didn't. So when I had left, and before I started my new job, there was 2 weeks in between, 3 weeks in between, I forget, I built in some time off. People were reaching out to me, asking me, the woman who got promoted into my job was the customer service person or manager, because I thought she would I thought she was undervalued in that role, and really thought she could do my job. So she got that promotion, and I was glad. So we would talk quietly about, because everyone was still dealing with the new VP, and she was really upset when I left because we worked really well together. So she would reach out to me for advice and just things, and it was nice. And occasionally I would get a text message from certain people did you leave because of the new the new VP? Nope. Give him a chance, learn how he works, and learn what's important to him. And again, that window of time is where I could have absolutely blew up the company, and just so it took me, I was bitter, as I talked about, for about 2 years or so with that whole situation, because it didn't need to be that way, and I just couldn't imagine. Now fast forward all these years later, I'm a president, and I would never do that. Never do that. It's just, you can't stop people or come down on them with negative energy because they want to leave and go do something else, make them better for themselves. So really, if you think about it, it really wasn't an issue for me, because I could be that's why I don't work there anymore, guys, because this guy, I could have said something like that. Not my problem. It's not impacting me at all. But because I cared about those people, and I cared about the company culture, even though I was no longer there, it was hard to deal with. The irony is, that's all gone now, because that company's been bought and sold, and he's not there anymore. And I don't have a problem with the guy anyway. Even though most of the people in that company live in my town, but I would absolutely go have a beer with him or something if I bumped into him somewhere. It's just I don't hold grudges and whatnot. He's a super smart guy, successful guy. I just thought that was poorly handled. And lastly, another guy who was highly regarded there left on his own about a year later. He got the same treatment. Different department, different job function, got the same treatment. Which, I don't want to say it made me feel better, but he reached out to me and asked, the irony was, he asked me, he goes, what happened when you resigned? Because I ran into him at an industry event. He's like, you got a few minutes? He's like, what happened when you resigned? And I told him. He goes, oh, I feel way better. And basically, his might have been a little bit worse because there was a lot of F-bombs involved with it. And it's just weird. And someone best said, to me at one point, well, you know how he is. Either you're with him or you're against him. And if you're against him, he's going to be like that. Not really the mantra that I live my life by, but okay. So all right, so that was a little story I thought I would share. The point being is, no matter how, really the point is business. People are going to be who they're going to be, and you got to take care of yourself first, because the company will, at the end of the day, if it's you or the company, it's going to always be the company. So you want to make sure you take care of yourself, and once you take care of yourself, make sure you're in a situation that you love, and you will do anything for the company. You'll run through walls, you do all these things, but if you don't take care of yourself first, and what I mean by that is, make sure that company's treating you fairly, not coddling you, but treating you fairly, and supporting you, giving you the resources you need. Yeah, but make no mistake, if the company goes in a different direction or whatever, it's a business decision, and they'll move on from you quickly. And it's just what it is. You could be the best worker ever. All right, so if you're into these type of experiences that I've been sharing, like, subscribe, comment, and certainly check out some of the other videos I've done recently on this stuff. And if you're a YouTuber and have a channel, I would love to check out your videos and hear some of your experiences as well. I think you can learn from one another. All right, well, we'll see you on the next one, and thanks for watching.